throwing too hard.
What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here, and we are back with the final installment of our long distance series. It has been quite a journey for us to get here, and if you haven't already, be sure to check out parts 1, 2, and 3 before we move on further in the video. Once again, you may be telling yourself, wait a minute, there's other parts to this series? And if you're asking that question, then you may not be subscribed. So it would mean a ton to me if you'd be willing to support the channel by heading down there, clicking that subscribe button, and maybe hitting the like button as well. But if you don't feel like doing that, that's great. You do you. This series began with me asking the question, what would it take for me to start throwing over 400 feet consistently? And what we wanted to do was give you some building blocks that I'm using in my personal game that can also help you blast through your current distance plateaus. We covered method 1 that was totally free, method 2 that might cost you but could also be free depending on the person, and this week's method is going to almost always cost you, and it's totally okay. When we're willing to put our money and time where our mouth is, it actually makes what we're learning mean a bit more because, well, we've paid for it. So without further ado, what is method number 3? Well, it's hiring a legit disc golf instructor. There are plenty of people out there who know how to play the game and would be more than happy to take you to a field and pass along the knowledge they have. But there are several other people who are incredibly talented at teaching the game, and they want to help you step to that next level. These amazing disc golf instructors may not be the 1050 boys, and that's okay. I've said it from the beginning, and we always need to be willing to learn from anyone possible. I don't spend time with novice players thinking to myself,
wow, I'm never going to learn from them.
Having an open mind allows us to embrace the knowledge that's out there and try to improve as fast as we can. I think there are several options when it comes to finding a fantastic disc golf instructor who can help you take that next level in your game. But I want to take a moment to talk about a hidden gem in disc golf. This man has been working with countless touring pros. He's been playing for over 20 years and has been studying the mechanics of disc golf. Yeah, that's right, the biomechanics of disc golf for over 15 years as well. When this man first got into studying the game, he was watching it on DVDs frame by frame. For future watchers of this, DVDs were little circular objects we put into a player before the age of everything was on streaming. This man is a legend and is so kind, and it has been incredible to work with the one and only Michael Strauss. I first heard of Michael through Brian Earhart's Instagram as he broke down Ezra Aderhold's putt, and I thought, wow, this dude is using some terminology I didn't even know was possible to be applied to the disc golf game. I've got to chat with him. We started talking, and next thing I know, we were breaking down my putt, and it has been awesome getting to work with Michael over the last few months. But as this series approached, Michael and I began chatting about how we could incorporate him into it and help pass along some of the amazing knowledge that he has to each and every one of you. Michael has a host of physical ailments that have been plaguing him for a considerable amount of time, including a lingering shoulder and elbow issue, yet he's still able to effortlessly throw a putter over 300 feet. Yeah, putters over 300 feet with all the pain. So are you guys ready to learn? Because I know I am. When Michael approaches teaching the game, he talks about it as if we're trying to build a puzzle. When you try to build a puzzle, you don't start in the middle and work your way out. You have to have the primary corner and edge pieces before you can start filling in the details. This signature method he uses of building the puzzle resonated really well with me, and I was excited to start assembling the edge pieces of my own game to try to see what distance we could unlock. But before we dive into those specific tweaks he started giving me, I want to talk about today's quick tip. Have you ever thought about the angle of your disc while you're running up ready to throw your shot? For me, I had the disc at a certain dipped angle. Well, I thought this really had no impact on my throw. Michael pointed out that it creates a lot of unnecessary mind movement while I'm trying to focus on the rest of my throw. By using today's quick tip, I would not only be able to shape lines better, but I would have an easier time doing it as well. So what's the method? Maintaining your wrist integrity throughout your throw allows you to pick the angle you want to throw on and hold it for the entire throw. The best way to visualize this is imagine throwing a flat shot. When you want to do this, you keep the disc flat. Well, that makes sense. When you want to throw a hyzer, think about your disc clicking down 1, 2, or 3 degrees 3 being an extreme angle when you want to throw a big hyzer. The opposite applies to an anhyzer. Raise it up 1, 2, or 3 clicks depending on the amount of anhyzer you want to put the disc on. Focusing on the click system and keeping the disc at the right angle created an easy time matching the angles and lines that I wanted to throw. I hope by you clicking the disc in the right place, it can do the exact same for you. If you have any questions about the click system, let me know in the comments below. So what were the issues Michael found? Well, looking at my form, Michael saw 4 major issues that we needed to work on, and we spent the last 2 weeks working on all of them. The first was my spine position.
What I like to see, and I talk about a lot, is people being in an inverted or upside down capital Y and not a lowercase y. Because if that's the case, if they're there and this represents the torso leaning back, once you get to the plant and once you want to start the disc moving forward, you're going to have to pull your body forward, and it's a big lateral movement. And it also puts all of your weight in the top half, which you do not want. You want all the weight and the power in the legs moving forward. So you have a little bit of an angle here. Would like to see that straighter.
This incorrect balance in my form forces a lot of other pieces in my form to start falling apart in ways that are totally not helpful to gaining distance. My second issue was my feet not necessarily lining up on the train tracks. I stressed this in part 3, but keeping your feet offset can help you generate a ton of power, and Michael has a great drill to help you visualize these train tracks.
The 2 lines are that represent the railroad tracks. This X with the arrow, this is the flat spot. This is actually where you release the disc. So it's not pulling across. You're not actually going to release it in front of the train. It comes over to the side. These train tracks represent exactly where I would be aiming. So the first step is the transition step. I set up here, come up onto the track. T step, which kind of creates a T, goes onto the left side, left rail. Now they stay on their rails. The last step never comes back to the same rail. You'll see a lot of beginner players do that. You actually started your transition step to the side and then swung way around. There's no need for that big movement. It should be very subtle and be very smooth. The steps from the side now: transition step, T step, lined up, head is centered between the feet. Cross step, as I'm coming through, I do not want to have my body lag and have the left foot, or the cross step foot, kick out, right? I need to be traveling with it so I can still stay centered between my feet, even in the cross step.
Once we line up the shot and get on the tracks, our shot should go exactly where we want it to because we have done the proper work. But just because my feet were on the tracks didn't help me with part 3, proper disc stack.
The disc lines up with the left foot, right foot on a left-handed golfer. From here, they stay stacked throughout the rest of the throw. We'll see a lot of newer players or players who muscle or pull on the disc. When they get here, this disc can be out over here already. It's out way beyond.
And when your hips and offhand side start initiating the throw, the disc will then be ripped forward at its fastest possible speed, allowing you to crush some drives. Which brings us to our 4th and final fix, which was the race. I'm going to let Michael give a quick explanation of the race.
Right here, this left side comes in and gets ahead of the disc.
What I like to see is these two coming together. So right there, as the shoulder is coming back in line, this disc should still be back here. Or worst case, tied with the shoulder. But right there, it's starting to pull through. I would like to see this left shoulder initiate with the shoulder, the hips, and this knee coming in and getting ahead of the disc. And then what gets to happen is this arm then isn't pulling the disc. What it's doing is it's guiding the momentum.
It felt like so much to work on trying to take all of these things to the field, but they all kind of fit together in my throw. I tried to focus on having proper balance, keeping my feet on the tracks, making sure the disc was stacked, and then finally making sure that my off shoulder won the race. I went to the field and worked on this for not just 1 week, but 2 weeks this time, which might seem a little unfair for our scientific process, and I'm okay with that. Michael has been an absolute pleasure to work with, and I really can't wait to continue working with him in the future. If you'd be interested in working with Michael, feel free to reach out to him on his social media links you can find in the description below. So what was my average at the end of this entire series? Well, my average in the final week was If you've been following along, it's about 12 feet shorter than it was the last time I did this, and technically it's not over 400 feet. So let me talk real fast about a few takeaways. First, this is an average, which means there were several throws that went over 400 feet and also throws that did not go 400 feet. The second is that I did technically lose distance from method 2 to method 3, but I want to go back and talk about the whole heart of Michael's teaching method. What I had been doing was starting from 1 or 2 corners that I had and then building up from there. The way you could best explain this is by taking one step kind of backwards, but not even really that far. I'm going to be able to take 5 steps forward in the near future. If you want to see your game improve, it's worth slowing down and maybe throwing standstills or working on other parts of your game for not even a few weeks, maybe a few months. But if you're willing to learn and consider this a journey, well then I'm happy to walk alongside you as we do this. I want to thank you for coming by and checking out this entire series. It has been so much fun trying to gain distance personally, but I also hope that it's helped you gain some valuable insight into your own game. Whatever it is, I hope you find success in your game. And if there's anything I can do to help you out in your journey, maybe it's releasing specific content or answering certain questions, please feel free to reach out and I'll do my best to try to respond as fast and best as I can. But for now, I'm gonna leave you with the birdie.